we're having this segment, which is going to be talking basically about the faces of boxing, the current faces of boxing today. And want to talk about some of the summary of stuff that we saw today. So with each face that we speak about today, we'll be speaking about we'll be speaking about what's covering the events, the current events with that face of boxing. We've got a lot of promise because a lot of the fighters in boxing today are young fighters, still coming up, emerging in the surface. Of course, right now, prominent, one of the faces of boxing recent times is, of course, Terence Bud Crawford. Now officially the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, undisputably. Anybody trying to dispute, oh, he's not all that, blah, 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 blah. And Errol Spence's manager today dispelled all notions on Showbiz the Adult that Terence Crawford is pound for pound #1 by saying no excuses. Shout out to Cam. Cam in the building. What's up, my brother? No excuses, they said. There's no excuses. Errol Spence, we're not making excuses about weight drain. We're not making excuses about the accident. We're not making excuses about nothing. He dispelled all notions about making excuses. Okay? So the gentleman from Errol Spence's camp on Showbiz the Adult came out, shout out to the people coming into the chat and starting to make comments immediately. Shout out to you guys. No excuses. The better man won that night. Period. The end of story. All right. Cam says, who do you think is the most overrated boxer in history? Ooh, well, or just right now? Oh boy, that's a, that's a huge undertaking you're asking me about right now. Currently, I can't say off the top of my head who is most overrated right now. I would say this. Overrated boxers would be, and there'd have to be a consensus out there that this boxer is great, but in reality, they're not as great as people are rating them. That's what it means to be overrated. So the most overrated boxer right now, I don't know. I have to think about it. Just because you're overrated doesn't mean you're not good or great, or you know what I mean. So that's a great question. And I can't really say right now. Right now, you know what? Let's go through the faces of boxing and then we will see. Now, I just mentioned 4 people here who are faces of boxing. So we recently, today actually, Claressa Shields posted up a video, a live stream, and she's considered the GOAT, right? So she is one of the faces of boxing, no doubt about it, okay? In fact, in women's boxing, you only got a select few women that we speak about that are prominent. Cam is just hitting me with questions. Cam, shout out to you, Cam. Hold on a second, though. Cam is shooting some questions at me. Cam says, what do you think of the heavyweights today compared to the golden ages like the 60s and 70s? This is a tremendously great question. Again, I have to put this all in context. So let me use my phone and let me bring up the heavyweight division, because I know some of y'all are disappointed with the heavyweight division right now. You're not getting the fights you really want to see, right? And one of the faces of boxing right now is Anthony Joshua. He's a face of boxing. You have Deontay Wilder. He's a face of boxing. Tyson Fury. He's a face of boxing. Alexander Usyk. He's a face of boxing, right? All of these gentlemen have done extraordinary things in boxing, right? Claressa Shields, she's a face of boxing. Shakur Stevenson is a face of boxing. Of course, Gervonta Tank Davis is the face of boxing. Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing. You know, so we're gonna talk about all of them. We're gonna chop it up. But you asking me some great questions, Cam. Let me show you something. Now you gotta understand something. Boxing as a sport evolves. Now, if you guys want to chop it up with me, you want me to close down this live stream so you guys can come on and say your piece and then leave, I can do that. I can go to StreamYard and do this so you guys can talk to me, because I see a lot more of you guys now coming out and talk. You know, we had my boy, I forgot what his name is right now, and then we had also oh, I'm forgetting all the names now. But two people came on here as guests on the stream, and they actually said their piece and then they left. And again, I agreed with a number of things they said. You know, but when I came on earlier on today, I was breaking down the fight between Errol Spence and Terence. Crawford came to the conclusion that it's still an excuse. KP from KC, that's one of them. Yes, sir. Cam, you told me to take my time. I'm going to take my time. I think Fury should fight Usyk. Absolutely, 100%. He's ducking him before their age. I'm getting to all of that. But what I'm saying is that you guys, if you want me to move to the stream instead of talking like this, we can do that, right? So you just have to let me know in the comment section. But with respect to the faces of boxing, right? And you asked me about the heavyweight division. I want to show you, first of all, I want to take my time and show you, first of all, the heavyweight division. All right? I want to show you. I don't want to just talk. I want to show you. All right? Tyson Fury is also a face of boxing, right? All right, now. All right, so the heavyweight division right now has the following people. You know, I should just go to rankings. Ooh, excuse me. You know, certain names pop out in the heavyweight division. All right, I'm gonna give you. This is not. I'm gonna give you some of the top 10 heavyweights in the heavyweight division. So we have Tyson Fury. All right, you can see that. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is old news, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about it. Tyson Fury is, of course, one of the top dogs in the heavyweight division. Alexander Usyk, who's daring to be great, is another one. Deontay Wilder, you know, the man that can punch like a mule, he's another one. Anthony Joshua, he's another one. Andy Ruiz, Joe Joyce. Dillian White is Mr. PED user. We're gonna move him out of the way. We also have Daniel Dubois, who's supposed to be challenging Alexander Usyk for the unified 3 belts. We also have in the heavyweight division Herkovitz, right? Herkovitz. Hold on a second, man. There got to be more. Some things have changed a little bit because we haven't heard much from Luis Ortiz. We haven't heard much from Joseph Parker. We saw a fight with Robert Helenius is one of those guys. He's supposed to be the replacement for Dillian White against Anthony Joshua. And again, Robert Helenius could box his ass off. So it's going to be interesting. I know for as long as it lasts. We also have... hold on. You know what? I should do that. Hold on. Let me go. I'm going to use BoxRec. Now, I don't really like BoxRec, but I'm going to use it, okay? I want to show you something. I'm going to show you something. Trust me. KP from KC says, why is there no pressure on Usyk Fury fight? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, and nobody's going in on Tyson Fury for defending his title against a guy who in no way, shape, or form should be in the ring with him instead of facing Alexander Usyk or defending it against somebody of use. They're talking about the money, Saudi Arabia. We're going to get to that. We're going We're gonna cook, brother. We're gonna cook. Y'all say some real stuff right there. But Cam, for you, hold on a second. Might have to go to box rec for a second. All right. I want to make sure I get all the names, you know, because there's some people who are being avoided, like Otto Wallen. When last have you heard of Otto Wallen getting a fight? Think about what I'm saying, right? Otto Wallen ain't getting no fights. Hold on, Cam. Hold on, Cam. I didn't answer you yet. I didn't finish answering you. You know? I'll make sure I don't miss anybody. So here are some of the names right here, right? So we got, hold on, Cam. I want you to stick around for a second because I want to answer you properly. So you have Tyson Fury there. You have Alexander Usyk, right? You got Anthony Joshua, right? You got Andy Ruiz. I don't know why he's so high up, but whatever. You got Deontay Wilder, Daniel Dubois, right? You got Luis Ortiz, right? Can you guys see that? You got Joseph Parker. Derek Chisora's fighting over this weekend as well. He's fighting Gerald Washington, right? You also got Zilai Zhang. You remember Zilai Zhang stopped Zilai Zhang, he stopped what's the kid that fought baby Jared Anderson. The kid that fought Jared Anderson, Zilai Zhang, I think stopped him. I think it was him. You got Herkovic, Philip Herkovic. You got Joe Joyce, who got stopped. Joe Joyce got stopped by Zilai Zhang. That's right. Joe Joyce got stopped by Zilai. I didn't even believe Joe Joyce could get stopped, and he got stopped by Zilai Zhang. Right? We still ain't seen Otto Wallen in that. We ain't seen Otto Wallen in there. Where is Otto Wallen? What's going on? Remember Murat Gassiev? Murat Gassiev's up in there. Oh, there's Otto Wallen. Otto Wallen's at number 20. I guess because he wasn't fighting. All right. Then you got Jarrell Miller, Mr. PED man as well. At number 24, you got Robert Helenius. Okay, now let's think about the heavyweight division, right? Why I said if you're going to compare the heavyweights today to the heavyweights of the past, there's a couple things you got to bear in mind. Robert Helenius. Who has Robert Helenius faced? Right? I'm gonna show you guys something. So this is Robert Helenius. He's 6'9", big tall guy, can box. His feet not that fast, but he's a boxer really. He got some good pop. Most of the heavyweights do. But here's who he faced. This is important. All right, so he's last minute going to be facing Anthony Joshua. That's dangerous because when a guy's last minute, you better be on your P's and Q's, you know? All right. But he also faced Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua, the goal is for Anthony Joshua to face Deontay Wilder by the end of the year, before the end of the year, right? Okay. He faced another name that's kind of disappeared off the scene, Adam Kawanaki, and he beat him twice. He stopped Adam Kawanaki twice. Adam Kawanaki was on a tear. You know, he looked like he's going to be the next guy. And then Robert Helenius stopped Adam Kawanaki. Amazingly, he was stopped severely by Gerald Washington. And Gerald Washington is another guy that's been facing names in boxing. He was beaten by Dillian White. I saw that fight. Dillian was trying to work the body and stuff. Robert Helenius was trying to just stay away from him and box him on the outside. I saw that fight. But he faced Dillian White. All right? So he also has a win over Derek Chisora. So I wanted to see, Robert Helenius is a guy that been facing top level fighters, All right, he not no joke. You know what I'm saying? That you could just overlook. He been there, right? And he's known as a great boxer. Now he also faced some faded guys. He faced Samuel Peter and he beat him. He also faced Lamont Brewster, the guy that stopped Vladimir Klitschko, right? So he got a really good resume. And remember, you may not win all the fights. You might even get knocked out in certain fights. But the experience of having faced these great fighters, the experience of having faced good fighters, having a good resume counts for something because, one, your name may be called up to face another opponent, right? So when you think of Robert Helenius, he's faced some top guys like Deontay Wilder. He faced Deontay Wilder. He's going to be facing Anthony Joshua. That's another top heavyweight. The top heavyweights are Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, right? Andy Ruiz, right? These are the top heavyweights right now in the heavyweight division. So he's had a number of championship fights and he's faced a number of top level guys. Now, that's Robert Helenius is ranked. I want you to understand he's ranked number 24 in the heavyweight division. I don't know if you guys can see that. Right? Now, you got Jarrell Baby Miller. He's ranked above Robert Helenius. Oh, okay. He's ranked above Robert Helenius, but you know, he hasn't faced the level of competition Robert Helenius has faced. Now notice also that the guy that Jared Anderson faced most recently, Charles Martin, he most recently faced Charles Martin, who was a former IBF world champion. No matter how he won it, he was former IBF champion. It was a dangerous fight for him. Charles Martin kind of tested him. You know what I'm saying? Charles Martin, for those of you who don't know, has faced Anthony Joshua. Charles Martin has faced Luis King Kong Ortiz and dropped Luis King Kong Ortiz. All right, it was a close fight. In the end, King Kong Ortiz knocked him out, but he dropped King Kong Ortiz. It looked like he was going to beat him. He was going to destroy him. Okay. He also faced Gerald Washington, who is going to be facing Derek Chisora, another top heavyweight, top 20 heavyweight. And then he has also faced Adam Kawanaki. He lost to Adam Kawanaki. All right. And and he's also faced Vyacheslav Glasgow. Okay, undefeated. Glasgow, I think, hurt his arm, and so he couldn't continue, and that's how Charles Martin won. So when people say Charles Martin is a dud and blah, 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 you can't say that. The man is a southpaw. He's slick. He's skilled. He has sneaky power. I want you guys to understand what I'm saying because I want to put things in perspective. If I'm going to compare the present to the past, and I know that boxing as a sport evolves, I don't want to bullshit you guys. I don't want to say that these guys today are better than the past, just like that. And I don't also want to say that the past is greater than today if I'm going to have a question like this. Because like you said, this is a tremendous question you just asked me. You asked me a very, very big question. And so that question, to answer that question, I had to provide information. So I had to take my time and show you, okay, this is the caliber of fighters these fighters have faced, today. And this guy's ranked number 20 something, but hey, he faced this dude. He faced this dude. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to get the perspective on it first before I start to say anything on it. All right? So here, when you look at Charles Martin, this dude has faced, world champions. He's even been in a unification fight. You know what I'm saying? So you have to put that into perspective. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he won the fights, but I'm just saying there's a reason why Charles Martin's name is out there. He not one of the top 20. He's not even the top 30. I don't know if he's top 30. Let me see. Hold on. Is he top 30? Yeah, he's not even top 30 heavyweight right now. Right? But the man has fought people, right? Luis King Kong Ortiz, you know, who was considered a boogeyman of the division at a certain point in time, right? He also faced Anthony Joshua, arguably one of the top 5 heavyweights in the heavyweight division. You understand what I'm saying? And he faced Anthony Joshua in his prime, when Anthony Joshua was undefeated and all of that. And he was undefeated too. Okay. So I wanted to put it into perspective. Gerald Miller, that was a step-up fight for Gerald Miller. So when you guys were saying, oh, he ain't all that, blah, 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 understand, that was a step-up fight for him. Okay? That was levels up. And yeah. Okay? I don't know if it was a last-minute fight. Was it a last-minute change? I think it was a last-minute change as well. So it was a last-minute change, and on top of that, it was a step-up fight. All right. Carlos Takam. He another top 20-something level fighter. Carlos Takam, say what you want about him. Carlos Takam has faced Joe Joyce. He has faced Derek Chisora. He has faced Anthony Joshua. And he has faced Joseph Parker. He's lost all those fights. Got stopped in almost all of them. But he's even faced Alexander Povetkin. All right, when Povetkin was something. He even faced Mike Perez, and he got a draw with Mike Perez. So what I'm saying to you is, you know, he may not be top 10 heavyweight in the world, but this guy got a lot of experience, and he's faced a lot of top fighters. He's even faced old-ass France Botha, all right, who stopped him in the 11th round. So he's faced some guys. Hold on. Somebody just made a comment. Let me get you. You guys, your comments are coming fast and furious for me. And it takes a little while to explain them. Champion Solutions Firearm Services says that version of Taken was formidable. Yes, sir. So I'm just saying, Taken's not a big dude, right? He's not big and tall, but he can fight on the inside. So all I'm saying is, when you think about it, now Taken's much older right now. He's like at the end of his career, but I'm just saying, you got to think about, you know, the experience these fighters have. All right, let's keep it moving. I want you to just understand, you can't just say heavyweight division and you just look at the top 5 or the top 3 or how they're conducting themselves, why they're not making the fights that's supposed to happen. This year, 2023, has been a great year in terms of making fights happen. The fans have had one of the best years of their lives ever. Let's keep it moving. Otto Wallen, he's number 20. Otto Wallen's number 20. What do you think about what I'm saying? Otto Wallen, he comes from Sweden, I believe it is. Or Deutschland, or one of those. Anyway, Otto Wallen has faced Dominic Breazeale. He beat him. He only has one loss, by the way, to Tyson Fury. And he's the guy that messed up Tyson Fury's face. Had it all bloody, bust up his eye, right? Got on the inside and was beating the shit out of Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury managed to pull off the victory later on in the fight using his weight and wearing down Otto Wallen, right? Otto Wallen, since then, he fought Travis Kaufman. Travis Kaufman was a former regular WBA champion. He lost it to, who did he lose it to? King Kong Ortiz, I think it was. Or Daniel Dubois. He lost it to Daniel Dubois. Right? That's why Daniel Dubois is fighting Alexander Usyk for Otto is clearly top 10 currently. No, I think it's, I don't know why he's not top 10. I think it's the level of opponent, because after Dominic Breazeale, which was the last top tier opponent he's had in 2021, to this year he'd been fighting, I guess, locally. He fought a guy called Kamil Sakuwalski. It was like 11-24-2, and then he fought Rydell Booker. Well, you know who Rydell Booker is. Those of you who don't know, well, he a heavyweight, 26-5-1. He beat him in a 10-rounder. He hasn't fought a 12-rounder, and he hasn't really fought a high-caliber opponent since Dominic Breazeale. Okay? But the point is, you know, he only got one loss, but he can't seem to get the big fights because his southpaw stance, and on top of that, his skills, make him a really formidable opponent. At the time when we heard that Otto Wallen was like, who? But now we know this guy, nobody really want to face this dude. You know, and then he's from Europe, and then he's from Switzerland. Ain't nobody gonna ain't nobody just gonna, oh yeah, Otto Wallen. You know, like, why isn't Anthony Joshua looking to face Otto Wallen? Well, he fought January this year. I don't know if he was ready for a fight like that, but that would have been good. Otto Wallen versus Anthony Joshua, probably a better fight than Robert Helenius versus Joshua. But Otto Wallen would be a smaller dude. Of course, they wanted a big dude to kind of imitate Deontay Wilder, so I guess Robert Helenius kind of fit the script a bit. And he was a sparring partner for Deontay Wilder anyway. So Robert Helenius versus Anthony Joshua, but I'm just saying, Otto Wallen, we ain't hearing about him. Since after that fight with Tyson Fury, he did fight Dominic Breazeale. He did get his victory. He did prove that he was a good fighter, but we haven't heard nothing about him since 2021, right? Okay, I'm just saying, this is the dude that faced Tyson Fury. That's where he got his name off of, and he also faced Dominic Breazeale. But he can't get those big fights no more. It is what it is. This is boxing, you know. It is what it is, bro. So Otto Wallen, don't forget him. All right, and he is number 20. All right, let's keep it moving. Murat Gassiev, he's undefeated, I believe. Oh, he had a loss. He suffered a loss. Okay. Murat Gassiev is the guy that faced Alexander Usyk back in 2018. Okay. Now, Murat Gassiev is really a cruiserweight that has moved up to heavyweight. So after facing Alexander Usyk for the unification fight, which he lost, he had beaten Uniel Dorticos and Christoph Glorczak and Denis Levidet. He beat everybody at cruiserweight except for Alexander Usyk. Gave Alexander Usyk pretty much a hell of a fight, as y'all know. He's up in heavyweight now. Okay, they're smaller guys, but they can maneuver themselves quite well. I want you to understand, when we talk about the current heavyweights, what we're talking about, who they face, who they beat. That's important, because if you're going to just label the heavyweight division with a broad brush and say, oh, these heavyweights, they're nothing compared to the past, they're not facing each other, you can't say that. You got to look at what are we talking about. So I'm taking my time and I'm cooking this really proper, so that when we say what we say it with facts behind it, with data behind it. You understand? All right, let's keep it moving. So this is a guy who came up from cruiserweight. He's been fighting heavyweight fights. The next guy, come on now. He's number 19. This dude. Don't tell me he not sweet. Don't tell me he not nice. And where he come from? The Cuban school of boxing. And is he aggressive like Gamboa? Hell yes. Is he better with his defense than Gamboa? Hell yes. Frank Sanchez. Think about the heavyweight division, man. These guys actually are more, I think they better boxers. Listen to me carefully. They're better boxers in terms of defense, in terms of how they do their things. We got some really good, technically sound fighters here. Frank Sanchez is a very good, technically sound fighter. Not just Usyk. Usyk's not the only technical fighter out there. Okay, so who has Frank Sanchez beaten? Efe Ajava, upcoming fighter. He hasn't had any championship fights. Right? He beat Joey Deweyko, and he also beat Christian Hammer. So he didn't really have any marquee fights behind him yet. Okay? But you see the skills. The eye test tells you he got skills. Right? All right, let's keep it moving. We talked about Jared Anderson, top ranked. Jared Anderson. Right? We got Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic. He's 15-0, and he's something. Okay? He recently beat Zhilei Zhang, the guy that stopped Joe Joyce. Right? Undefeated Zhilei Zhang. He beat him. Okay? Remember Rydell Booker? He beat Rydell Booker, and he beat Eric Molina. Eric Molina, who faced Deontay Wilder. He knocked his ass out. Okay? He also beat Amir Mansour, and he stopped him. He stopped him. Of course, Amir Mansour over the hill, but I'm just saying, Amir Mansour was an avoided fighter at heavyweight. Y'all know this. Right? So when we talking about heavyweight division, we got this dude up in there, Hrgovic. You can't. How can you ignore that? This is the future, right? All right, they're coming up. All right, we got Joe Joyce, of course. You know Joe Joyce, and you know who Joe Joyce faced already. Joe Joyce got a win over Daniel Dubois, who just recently did his thing, right? Zhilei Zhang, Chinese heavyweight. You know, the thing about Zhilei Zhang, though, is he's 40 years old. He's old. The dude could punch, but he's an old guy, southpaw. So, you know, if he was in his prime, it'd probably be a totally different story. He's supposed to rematch Joe Joyce. He stopped his ass. Filip Hrgovic has beaten him as well. He's another up-and-coming name in boxing. And he's showing, man. He's showing that, you know, he's something out there. All right. You got Derek Chisora. He is in the top 10 now. The top 10 heavyweights. Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora, do we need to say who he's faced? He's faced the who's who. He kind of like a Sean Porter of the heavyweight division. He was not afraid to face anybody. His career is very, very long as well. And he loved to fight. He loved to rumble. He's going to be facing Gerald Washington. He faced Tyson Fury. He faced Kubrat Pulev. He faced Joseph Parker twice. He faced Alexander Usyk and gave him a run for his money at the heavyweight division. He faced Dillian White. He faced Carlos Takam. He faced Dillian White twice, actually. He faced Kubrat Pulev twice, actually. He also faced Tyson Fury. All right. He faced David Haye. He faced Vitaly Klitschko. He in a whole different era right now. He faced Robert Helenius. I mean, he faced Tyson Fury twice. He faced Danny Williams, the guy that stopped Mike Tyson, and he knocked out Danny Williams. This dude's resume is ridiculous. And he's fighting, and guess how old Derek Chisora is? He's 40 years old. And it looks like he's developing like fine wine. He fought Tyson Fury most recently. 3 times he faced Tyson Fury. And the 3rd time he got stopped again. But, you know, Derek Chisora, man, he got a resume. He got a resume. You know, if he got a couple more wins on his resume, he'd have a Hall of Fame resume. Because he fought the who's who of the heavyweight division. The who's who. Okay? Came short 1 or 2 occasions. And other occasions he got blitzed. But for the most part, this man faced who's who. This guy's a fighter's fighter. This is a throwback fighter. You understand what I'm saying? I want you all to understand what we're looking at. Okay? All right, now. Joseph Parker. I'm cooking slow, but I'm cooking. Joseph Parker. The reason why they top 10 heavyweights is because of who they face. I don't call, of course, who they beat too, but who they face. Joseph Parker hasn't really been facing nobody. He got stopped by Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is a bad boy, even though he got stopped by the Chinese guy. He got stopped by Joe Joyce. He beat Derek Chisora twice. He lost to Dillian White, but he was going to stop his ass if given a little bit more time. He lost to Anthony Joshua, and he beat Andy Ruiz. I want you to hear the names. Andy Ruiz, who's a top 10 heavyweight. Okay? He even faced Hughie Fury, which is Tyson Fury's cousin, who was undefeated and on the rise. Lost to him, but... So, he faced Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, okay? Right? These are the guys who were world champions. And then he also faced guys like Derek Chisora, Joe Joyce. All right? All right. See, I'm taking my time and going through it because I want us to respect the sport of boxing. You know, and we must respect the sport of boxing. We don't respect the sport of boxing sometimes. Okay. Luis Ortiz, the boogeyman. You know, guy that Deontay Wilder faced twice. And he still proves that, you know, Luis Ortiz is like, how old is he? He's like 44 years old. All right. He faced Andy Ruiz recently, right? He faced Charles Martin. He stopped Charles Martin in a very exciting fight. Faced Deontay Wilder twice, okay? He lost to Travis Kaufman, who became WBA champion. I think Travis Kaufman beat him. Outbox, though. He was outbox. He also faced, let's see who else we got here. Brian Jennings on the rise, okay? So I'm just saying, you just look at the names, okay? The names. Okay, then you got Deontay Wilder. They say Deontay Wilder ain't faced nobody. How could you say that? Hopefully he gets the fight made with Andy Ruiz, because that's an interesting fight. If Andy Ruiz closes that distance, start working on the inside, Deontay Wilder is cooked. He better know how to box. But let's get into it. Robert Helenius. Deontay Wilder's last fight was against Robert Helenius. Stopped him in the first round. Okay. He lost to Tyson Fury twice. He drew with Tyson Fury, so he had 3 fights with Tyson Fury, who is arguably the best heavyweight in the division right now. But we're gonna talk about Tyson Fury a little bit more because some things about Tyson Fury I don't appreciate at all. He's dragging down the sport. Faced Luis King Kong Ortiz twice. Stopped him twice. Faced Dominic Breazeale, who was a top 10 heavyweight. Faced Burmeister Burn, that's how he won his title. He also faced Gerald Washington, Chris Arreola, Eric Molina. So those are the names, really. Those are the top names out there that we sometimes mention. But in terms of names, Burmeister Burn was the WBC champion, so you have to mention him. Luis Ortiz was a bad boy. We got to mention him. And Tyson Fury was really another world champion, a former world champion, then became world champion, right? All right. So those are the major names, but nonetheless, all these other heavyweights, you got to mention them. Because at some point in time when he faced them, they were top 10 heavyweights. Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois, he faced he's going to be facing Alexander Usyk, arguably the best heavyweight in the heavyweight division, in my opinion, because Tyson Fury is running from him. But then you got also, he has faced Trevor Bryan. That's the guy he took the regular title from, knocking him out. Lost to Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is the guy that broke his eye orbital and stopped him. And that's about it for Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce don't have no really other bigger names than that, but he's ranked so high because he's facing Alexander Usyk, obviously. So who you face, who you beat, that makes the rankings. By the way, these rankings on BoxRec are basically fan rankings, how I consider them. The real rankings you really have to consider are the rankings in the sanctioning bodies. That's what gets you in line for a title shot. And another important thing for me to say as I'm talking about this is rankings. Boxing has a ranking system, but the ranking system is determined by the sanctioning bodies. That's why you have sanctioning bodies. They sort of put an order to things, and they say this is the level. So if you say top 50, then that means that you're probably somewhere in between a prospect and a contender. The moment you start to get in a sanctioning body, that is, the moment you get to contender status, it means you've entered the top 10. And you're more a contender when you're in the top 5. But just let's say 9 people turned down the fight. They were like, no, I don't want to face him right now. I don't want to face him for whatever reason. You would be the 10th person, and you may get the title fight because you were in the top 10 in a sanctioning body. And they have 4 different sanctioning bodies officially that count for undisputed, which they do their rankings. And it depends, again, and if you register into that sanctioning body, you pay sanctioning fees, particularly for title fights. And it was a discussion on Showbiz The Adult, the manager of Errol Spence. So Al Heyman manages Errol Spence, but he also has another manager. Okay, the guy that manages him, he was talking about how sanctioning fees. How do they set what percentage of your purse goes to sanctioning fees? You know, and that's interesting because the sanctioning bodies. If you have 4 sanctioning bodies, for example, and you have to pay 3% to 4 of them, that's 12% of your purse. That's 12% of your income. That's a ridiculous sum of money. That's a percentage. Now, if they had a fixed amount, they said, okay, all we want for the belts is maybe $100,000, say, right? And you're making, all in all, it's not a pay-per-view fight. You make like 1-point-something million, right? Still a lot of money. 100,000, 100,000, 100,000 by 4 is $400,000 off your 1-point-something million. That leaves you with what? 800, maybe 700, 600 million, $600,000. That's not much money. And then you got to pay your promoter or your manager, and they want a big percentage. Oh, come on now. So you got to understand, boxers, as the brother was saying, as Al Heyman will tell you, and you know, when you start to learn the business, boxing is not as lucrative as people think. The average boxer who's doing well, the top 1%, whether it's the Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson's, those guys, they are getting paid 1-point-something million dollars. But of that 1-point-something million dollars, how much do you think they take home when they have to pay out to everybody? They got to pay sparring partners, all that kind of stuff. How much do you think they take home? They don't take home $1 million. I can guarantee you that. They probably take home half of that, if so much, maybe even less. So you, on paper, it says 1.2 million. You take home $400,000. Now, $400,000 is still good money for the year, but you remember, of that $400,000, you're going to have to take some of that money on that $400 for another camp. If you have 2 fights in a year, if you just have 1 fight in a year, then it's even harder for you. Right? So at the end of the day, gross, you might make 2.4 million because you had 2 fights. And if you won them, you gross more, right? But at the end of the day, what are you really taking home? Right? So you did 2 fights, but you take home maybe $400,000, $300,000 per fight. You make $600,000 a year. Sounds good, but you should be making more than that for the sacrifice and for the work you put in. And that's take-home money for you to take care of all the expenses in your home and your family, and so on and so on. That's not money to blow. You need to put aside maybe $100,000 invested in something. Anyways, man. So Daniel Dubois, we just talked about him, right? Okay, so he's a top 10 heavyweight, and that's because he's facing Alexander Usyk. And then we got Dillian White. Well, he's a cheater, so I don't want to talk about him. But he has fought some good names and some good people, and he did get his championship fight with Tyson Fury. And then you got Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz's resume is very interesting. His life turned around when he faced last-minute change to Anthony Joshua. But in his resume, he's faced Joseph Parker. Yeah, he's faced Joseph Parker. Where am I? He's also faced Anthony Joshua twice. Got a win over Anthony Joshua. And he's also faced Luis King Kong Ortiz and prevailed against him and beat him. All right? So that's very impressive. And he may be facing Deontay Wilder next. So that's pretty impressive. Then we got Alexander Usyk. Now, he mostly did his best work at cruiserweight, so we don't want to look at his cruiserweight resume, the who's who of cruiserweight. He was undisputed, and he really took those belts one by one down there. But at heavyweight, He fought Derek Chisora, who gave him a good run for his money. He fought Tony Bellew. And then he fought also Anthony Joshua twice and beat him twice. He's going to be facing Daniel Dubois, who's another big, strong heavyweight. So that should be interesting. But like you said so correctly, he should be facing Tyson Fury, right? And Tyson Fury has faced Derek Chisora. He's faced Deontay Wilder. He's faced Dillian White. He's faced Otto Wallen. He's faced Vladimir Klitschko. Okay, he faced Derek Chisora twice. Okay, those are the recognizable names. 3 times, sorry. Those are the recognizable names he has faced in his career. They call him the #1 heavyweight in the world, but really, honestly speaking, he ain't behaving like the #1 heavyweight in the world. He should be stripped because Alexander Usyk wanted to make a fight with him since after he beat Deontay Wilder. Right? He said all this smack to Usyk. He's talking all this smack to Usyk. You know, talking about he's a this and he's a bitch and he's a blah, 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 blah. But he won't face him. He fought Dillian White. And then he fought Derek Chisora after that. And he still hasn't faced Alexander Usyk. And he's saying the money's not there. Now, I'm going to say this. That's a duck. Especially now, given the fact that you're drawing it out. You don't want to face Alexander Usyk. And now you're going to face a guy in MMA. And he's talking about that's a fight in Saudi Arabia and blah, blah. Nobody cares about that. Usyk an easy guy to do this fight with. All right? So the guy who's supposed to be pound for pound the greatest boxer and the greatest heavyweight and all of that has been ducking Alexander Usyk. I'm going to tell you why. It's simple. He knows Alexander Usyk can fight. He knows Alexander Usyk ain't Deontay Wilder. Alexander is not dependent on one big punch. Alexander Usyk is going to dissect him, break him down, get to the inside, and do his thing. And Tyson Fury knows it's a tough fight. So he wants to get compensated for that. He want to get compensated as much because the risk versus reward here gotta make sense. So he is ducking Usyk. Okay? He's ducking him. And he's saying it's business and all that. But the thing that he's making a mockery of in the sport of boxing, like you guys were saying so correctly, JP from, as you were saying so correctly, KP from KC. What the fuck? Why is this not scrolling down? And what the hell? My fucking thing is not responding. Hey, scroll down. What the hell? Yes, okay. Right the fucking way. Sorry about my cussing. This thing's really playing up its ass. Oh, there you go. All right, so KP from KC said, there's no pressure on Usyk and Fury to fight. Since Wilder lost, the media acts as if the titles are only with one man. Exactly. Exactly. So we need to put pressure on them as fans and call out Tyson Fury's bullshit. Because I don't want to hear about making no money. Oh, I'm going to make easy money with this dude. I don't care about that. You should be like Errol Spence. You should be like Terence Crawford. Get straight to it. So right now, I don't have Tyson Fury as the #1 heavyweight in the world because he's ducking Alexander Usyk. And if he don't face Alexander Usyk, he's not the #1 heavyweight in the world. Alexander Usyk, in my book, is the #1 heavyweight in the world because he's acting like that. Tyson Fury is acting like a clown. And he's making a mockery of the sport of boxing, in my opinion. You can always get that paycheck after you fight Usyk. You can always get that paycheck. That paycheck always going to be there. So why are you trying to pursue that paycheck now when you should be pursuing it after the Alexander Usyk fight? So I don't want to hear Tyson Fury. Screw him. Couldn't care less. Right? He's a clown right now. All right? This is not something that Floyd Mayweather did. This is not something that none of these other guys do. Okay, so anyway, that's top 20-something heavyweights. Okay? Now let's talk about the past. Let's talk about the past. Great heavyweights of the past. Okay. So here are some of the great heavyweights of the past. Now you got to understand, you got to put everything in perspective though, because these are totally different eras and everything, but nonetheless, here we are. So you can see there Joe Louis, see Muhammad Ali. Okay. We got Rocky Marciano. These are all different times though. Gene Tunney, it's a different era. Ezra Charles, Vladimir Klitschko, Floyd Patterson, right? Jersey Joe Walcott. Okay. You got Joe Frazier, Tyson Fury is in there. They have him ranked number 11. Vitaly Klitschko, Sonny Liston, Evander Holyfield, Elmer Ray. Y'all know who Elmer Ray is? Larry Holmes, Max Schmeling, George Foreman, Jack Dempsey, Mike Tyson, Ingemar Johansson, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Emilio Bettina, Young Stribling, Joe Baxky, Alexander Povetkin, Riddick Bowe, David Hay. I don't even know why they don't have Evander Holyfield there. I find that disrespectful. Jimmy Ellis, Max Beard, Hasim Rahman before Evander Holyfield. Where is Lennox Lewis? What the hell? Anyway, Bob Pastor, Jack Sharkey, Oliver McCall. All right, enough. Okay, so let's talk about it. You asked the question, Cam, I'm gonna answer you. In the era of Lennox Lewis, those guys fought each other, right? You had Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield. You had Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. You had Lennox Lewis versus I don't even know why Lennox Lewis is not in the top 10. I mean, this is ridiculous. Oh, there he is. He's top 3. Okay. And where's Evander Holyfield? Evander Holyfield fought everybody. All right. The heavyweight division isn't that bad. But let me just show you. Now, this is the whole career of Lennox Lewis, right? He fought Vitaly Klitschko, Mike Tyson, Hasim Rahman twice, David Tua, France Botha, Evander Holyfield twice, Shannon Briggs, Andrew Galata, Oliver McCall, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison. He fought Oliver McCall twice, of course. Frank Bruno. Now, all these guys I'm mentioning, by the way, have been world champions. Tony Tucker, Donovan Razor Ruddock, Tyrell Biggs, Mike Weaver. All of these guys have been world champions. Osi Ocasio. All right. So you hear the list right there. It's pretty impressive, right? These were just world champions. And then you had the other guys in the division who also fought other people. You had David Tua, Michael Grant. Oh, I forgot Shannon Briggs. Shannon Briggs was another guy. Andrew Galata, Henry Akinwande, Justin Fortune, you know, the guy who they interviewed recently, Manny Pacquiao, was strength and conditioning coach. You know, that's a lot of names, right? That's a lot of names. So I'm just saying that, you know, that's just Lennox Lewis. Now, he was the best guy at the time there. When you look at Lennox Lewis's resume and you look at Tyson Fury's resume, they're pale in comparison, right? But if you look at somebody like Derek Chisora fought the who's who of his time and era. Derek Chisora's resume matches up to Lennox Lewis's resume maybe in terms of people he faced, but he didn't beat as many people as Lennox Lewis beat, right? So that's Lennox Lewis. Let's look at Joe Louis. Joe Louis was a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but his resume wasn't that strong. Okay? His resume wasn't that strong. Let me tell you the guys he really fought that was worth talking about. Rocky Marciano at the end of his career, he actually fought him, which was great. He also fought Jimmy Bivens. Jimmy Bivens wasn't really a true heavyweight, but was a heavyweight. Never had any significant success there. But, you know, it was one Basically, one guy was a heavyweight champion, usually. There was times when it was two, but anyway. This is back in the 1940s, 1950s. He also faced Ezra Charles. He lost to him. He beat Jersey Joe Walker twice. He beat Billy Conn, who was the light heavyweight champion. He also fought, he beat him twice, actually. You see who else is important to talk about here. He beat Max Schmeling. He beat John Henry Lewis, who went on to become light heavyweight champion of the world multiple times. He beat James J. Braddock, who was actually at the time the heavyweight champion of the world. Okay? He also beat Jack Sharkey, who was a former heavyweight champion of the world. Right? So, and then he also beat Max Beer. So those are good. Primo Carnero as well. He beat Primo Carnero, who was once a world champion as well. Now, when he beat them, they was no longer world champion. It was on, kind of on the decline. But nonetheless, it's important to note that. So this is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, considered a GOAT. And, his resume is not bad. It's not Lennox Lewis's. You know what I mean? Then the guy who has a resume that's just incredible, besides Muhammad Ali, is Evander Holyfield. Evander the real deal Holyfield. And like Alexander Usyk, he came up from cruiserweight. And I am so surprised he's not in the top 10 or top anything. He's in top 14. That's crazy. That's insane. I don't know why that's happening, because let's go through Evander Holyfield's resume. It's ridiculous. Fought France Botha, who was a former WBO champion. Nikolai Valiev, who was another world champion. Sultan Ibragimov, yet another champion. This is a totally different era to his era. Okay, Luis Alvarez, who was a world champion. James Toney, who was a world champion. Chris Bird, Hasim Rahman, John Ruiz 3 times, Lennox Lewis 2 times, Michael Moore 2 times, Mike Tyson 2 times, Bobby Sears, Riddick Bowe 3 times, Ray Mercer, Larry Holmes, Burt Cooper. He fought James Buster Douglas. Okay, Michael Dokes, Pinklon Thomas, James Tillis, Dwight, and that's it for the heavyweight division, right? So, I mean, dude, this dude, and those are all world champions I just talked about. This dude just insane, okay? Insane. His resume is crazy. He got so many different Hall of Famers on his resume, and I mean, Evander the real deal Holyfield is still alive today. We do not value him, man. This dude got a ridiculous resume. He didn't always win all his fights, but man, god damn. I mean, he got a ridiculous resume. Ridiculous resume. Okay? Let me put it in perspective for you. Hall of Famers. Okay? Hall of Famers. Okay? He got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are Hall of Famers I'm talking about here. 8. 8 Hall of Famers he faced at heavyweight. We're not even talking about at cruiserweight. We ain't talking about cruiserweight. There are a couple of Hall of Famers at cruiserweight too. All right? That was Evander the reason. This is the best of the best of the best. The only other guy to do better probably is Muhammad Ali in heavyweight history. In my opinion, Evander Holyfield fought the who's who of who's who at heavyweight. Right? He cleaned out cruiserweight. Then he went up to heavyweight and fought the who's who of heavyweights. All right? I don't think there's anybody else in the history of boxing to do better than Evander. He is underrated. Period. Okay? Now, so we talking now about the crop of the crop of the crop. If you're just talking about heavyweights in history, you know, in the past and so on, our heavyweights don't do too bad in our era. It's not doing too bad. You know, it's not the worst era of the heavyweight division. But it's disappointing when guys like Tyson Fury make a mockery of the heavyweight division, make a mockery of boxing. You know, that's the problem. And they're making excuses for him because he's white. I'm be real with y'all. I ain't even playing around. He white skinned. You know, he's saying he gypsy and he's understood. Nah, you white skinned, bro. That's why you getting away with murder. Okay. So I don't endorse it. I'm not watching it. That fight, as far as I'm concerned, that's called a duck fight, and you getting duck money when you don't want you don't have no respect. Okay, you have no respect for the sport of boxing. If you wanted to do this as an exhibition or you wanted to do it as a non-title fight, you could have done that after Usyk's fight. You lose to Usyk and you go and you do, you know, because it looks like you gonna lose to Usyk. I feel, because you don't know how to handle Usyk. And Usyk won that fight. So Tyson Fury, I think that's what's up. Trevor Smith says Lennox Lewis is the best heavyweight in history, if you ask me. Lennox beat them all. Yeah, man. You know, the air is rare when you start to talk about these athletic, very skilled, mobile heavyweight fighters. The 90s was like peak, you know. They were very mobile, very quick. Not necessarily the most technical, but Lennox was a very technical heavyweight boxer, you know. So, yeah. But having said all of that, I think that this era is not that bad. Okay, it has some phenomenal guys. You know, Tyson Fury is a phenomenal boxer. He's quick for his height and size. You know, he uses all his attributes to the maximum ability. He's a bit sloppy with his movements, but he is something. All right. But I gotta be real with you guys. You know, he right now letting down the sport. And it's not a popular opinion, it's a hot opinion, but he laying down the sport. But he is one of the faces of boxing. All right, because the title here is Faces of Boxing. I know I've been running for about an hour, 2 minutes, and 21 seconds. I don't want to keep it too long. But I wanted to answer Cam's question. So I addressed your question in quite detail because I want you to see that the current heavyweights are facing each other and facing some top quality guys. That's why they rank the way they are in the sanctioning bodies. But at the same time, are they as skilled as, or shall I say, as athletic as the guys in the 90s? And are they as exciting and dynamic as the guys in the 90s? No. But the premier guys like Deontay Wilder is very athletic. Tyson Fury's not that athletic, but he's a good boxer. You know what I mean? You know, you see Jarrell Miller, he's athletic and everything, but he's not as big as those guys. You know, Anthony Joshua, he's precise. You know, he's scientific. You know, he's not super athletic. You know what I mean? But you can see he's technically sound and he does the right things, and he understands the sport very well. He's well conditioned. He's a great conditioned athlete, but he's not necessarily athletic. You know what I mean? So having said that, the cream of the crop of the heavyweight division is Tyson Fury. It's Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. There's like the top guys in the division. And when you look at those top guys, let's look at the 90s now. And the top guys in the 90s were Lennox Lewis, right? You had Evander Holyfield, right? In the 90s, you had you had Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield. There was like the two standout guys of that era, right? Then you also had you throw into the mix guys like George Foreman had made his comeback thing, but he was in the 90s. Mike Tyson was more the 90s guy, you know. But you had Mike Tyson, you had Lennox Lewis, you had Evander Holyfield, right? You also had guys like David Tua up in there. He never won a world title, but he was up there, you know. Right? So those were really the major guys. when you talk about in the heavyweight division, you're talking about Muhammad Ali's era. You were looking more at guys like Muhammad Ali. You were looking at guys like George Foreman. George Foreman kind of pops up in two different eras, in the 90s, and he also pops up in the 70s and 80s. But anyway, you had George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, right? Now, they mentioned Edward Norton, but Edward Norton didn't really hang with them. But he was a world champion. But it's really these three are the major guys that made that era really what it was. Because you had those great epic fights between them. But there was a lot more. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying. All right, so, Joe Louis's time. Joe Louis was mostly the most dominant guy. For a moment, Max Schmeling had a little limelight, and then that was it. Joe Louis' epic wars was with Ezra Charles. No, it wasn't him. No, sorry, my bad. Jersey Joe Walcott, sorry. So that's the other guy. But he kind of popped up on the scene and then disappeared, So anyway, that's what I got for you guys there. So when you look at the eras, it's each era was different. Like this particular era here right now, guys are a lot more technically minded. So you're getting more technically correct heavyweights out there. Hrgovic, you got let's see, I'm gonna tell you the technical guys. You got Frank Sanchez out there. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury's technical. Alexander Usyk's technical. Anthony Joshua's a technical fighter. You got Luis Ortiz is pretty technical. You got Philip Hrgovic is technical. Jared Anderson's technical. Frank Sanchez is technical. Otto Wallin's a technical fighter. So you got a lot more technical fighters out there that bring certain things to the table. Not to say that the guys back in the 90s weren't technical too, but they were going more for hurt business. It was like the hurt business. They were trying to hurt you. So now everything was done and thrown with defense in mind all the time. But it was very exciting. The 90s time was very exciting. Of course, the guys in the day was using PEDs like through their teeth as well. So that's another thing. The great Tommy Morrison and all these guys. But I'm just saying, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. I would say that this era is actually better than the era before it, which was the Klitschko's. The Klitschko's were dominating. It was a boring era in boxing. So, it wasn't like this era. This era, the top position could change hands. It's dynamic. You never know. You got these extraordinary abilities, gifted fighters out there. And so it's a very dynamic thing. When the era with Klitschko's and oh man, it was nothing like this. This is much more exciting. The heavyweight division is much more exciting because Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk is a mouth-watering fight. Two technical fighters, and one can knock out left, right, and center. The other guy can box his ass off, and so that makes for intriguing fight matchups. And that's what we want in boxing. You just can't get the fight because Tyson Fury's behaving like a he's behaving like a female. He's running. But this year has been a great year for boxing. And so we want to talk about the other faces of boxing. So let's talk some of the faces of boxing out there. So I'm going to start with Claressa Shields. Put out her live stream today, which I saw. And I got to love the GOAT. You got to love the GOAT, man. Her name is in boxing. Now we got Savannah Marshall. We got Amanda Serrano. These are all great names. Now Alicia Baumgartner's popped up on the scene. Women's boxing is doing great. You know what I love about women's boxing and the women's boxers? They actually push it harder than men because they got 2-minute rounds. They push it harder than men. And then on top of that, we got now Amanda Serrano. We got Claressa Shields. They not just boxing. They going into MMA and they fighting. We haven't had men cross over into MMA like that of recent times. They all talk about, I'm gonna stay in boxing and all box. I mean, they're not trained for MMA. Whereas Claressa Shields and Amanda Serrano, them women ain't playing. They going out there. Claressa Shields is in the PFL, And she's doing her thing. She trying to dominate the octagon as well. It's crazy. You know, the women are really leading the way in a way, pushing forward. They got the opportunity. They got the chance to really expand, and they're really pushing boundaries. In fact, Claressa Shields, she called out Jake Paul. She said, "Hey, let's make a fight, man. Come on, homie. I know I could whoop your ass." And then she talked about an exhibition with Keith Thurman. Now, I'm gonna say this for real, Claressa. You better keep your defense up because Keith Thurman can crack. You think Errol was bad because you talked about sparring Errol, and you say he's strong as hell. Well, if you thought Errol was bad, Keith punches harder than Errol. So you better. And she was talking about, you know, she was shit talking him, saying, "Oh, he can hold her off with a jab." She said, "I'll make you fight with two hands." Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe you have to stay on defense a little longer, Claressa. But I really appreciate. I like that she wants to challenge because she's like, "I dominated the women's division. I dominate these women. None of these women can mess with me." You know what I'm saying? So she's like, "All right, let me cross over." You know what I mean? And she's brimming with confidence. It's kind of cute to see, and at the same time, it's like, you know, she really mean what she's saying though. She'll kick your ass. You know what I mean? People say, "Well, she can't punch for nothing." Oh, you will get in the ring with her then. You know me. Now, after seeing Bud destroy Errol Spence like that, I wouldn't put Claressa in the ring with Bud. No. But then again, yeah, why not? Yeah, you want it? Go get it. You know what I'm saying? You can if you get your ass whooped, well, it is what it is. But if not, you know, because I feel like everybody be talking in this PC environment about equal opportunities and equal this, and you know, the gender should have equal opportunity. Okay, they have equal opportunity. You're a warrior, he a warrior. All right, let's get it on. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all to be tripping, man. Y'all don't understand. A warrior is a warrior. A warrior don't be thinking like you guys think. They want to be challenged. They want to test their limits. They want to see what they can do. So obviously, if she's not getting challenged by the woman, she gonna step across to the man. And she even said it. She said, "I could whoop some men with ass. I know I could whoop some of these guys with ass." You know, because she want to venture across there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, some of y'all be like real bitches, man. No disrespect to everybody, but yeah, y'all are bitches. Y'all are not men. You know what I mean? Why are you feeling threatened because a woman says she could kick a man's ass? Why are you being threatened by that? I never understood that. You know what I mean? If she feels so, okay, step up and see. And if you get your ass whooped, it's all good too. You know what I mean? Listen, y'all are like, "Oh, we shouldn't hit women." Shut up, man. A warrior is a warrior, man. A warrior is a warrior. You know what I mean? And so a warrior is always going to want to get challenged. A warrior is always going to want to conquer the next level, both internally and externally. And that's just something, that's just how they think. You think Claressa's got all her faculties up there? Well, you know what I mean? She a little crazy. You can't be, listen, those women ain't normal. Men ain't normal either. If you in boxing and you doing this sport and you getting hit upside your head, right? And you are trying to punish and you literally trying to kill the next guy in a way, you know, because you're trying to hit him with everything you got to hurt him as bad as possible, and same thing she trying to do, then guess what? Y'all crazy. Because in society today, they don't teach us to hit each other. They're not hit him as hard as you can. No, that's not normal. You gotta be crazy to do that, okay? So you gotta understand, this is the mindset that she has. She's just like that. That's the problem. A lot of people feel because she's a woman, her mindset should be like a woman. No, she's a warrior. She's a warrior. That's what warriors think. You can't. Yes, she's a woman physically, right? And she conducts herself like a woman. But what I'm saying is, when they put on those gloves, they're not thinking woman or none of that. They don't give a damn about that. They out there for blood. They're going to fight. It's going to be a fight, right? And society looks at it as a male versus female. Claressa's not really thinking of it necessarily like that. She's thinking of it as a challenge. You understand what I'm saying? So I know the atmosphere we're in, the political environment. I know there's a lot of male bashing out here, and y'all gonna be saying, well, this woman gonna beat down on a man or whatever. It's not like that, man. This is different. This is not about women beating men and all that bullshit that y'all get into. You make it more than it is. It's about a warrior wanting to test herself against some of the best out there. It's about testing yourself. You say you're the best, you want to beat the best. You know what I'm saying? And that's all she's about. That's all it is. All right? She wants a challenge. So, you know, she be chirping in the mix. She's not clout chasing. She mean every single word she says. And I'm backing her, man. I'm like, yeah, go do the shit. If you get your ass kicked, I ain't even worried about it. Because I seen y'all tough. I seen that woman take some shots. I saw Heather Hardy take some shots. Some shots. All right? She got... Excuse my French. She got fucked up by Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano fucked her ass up, okay? She got fucked up. And still, in spite of getting fucked up, she was fighting back. She was a live dog. She was still throwing. Throwing with mean intentions. That's a different mindset, man. These women bringing something to the table that kind of helps the men to elevate their game. You know what I mean? There's no, like, she was a dog. She wasn't backing down. And that's a certain mentality you have to have. You know, it's like, you got to kill me to stop me. I ain't gonna stop, ninja. I ain't stopping for nothing. And that's something that I love, because when adversity hits you, you have to be tough in your mind. And yes, some fighters are too tough for their own good, but in the fight itself, to know the guy is a live dog and there's no quitting now. And when I was watching Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, no quit in Errol Spence. He being outgunned, he being outplayed, and that mother's still coming. He bringing it. He bringing it. You know, I saw also with fight was it? What was it? Oh yeah, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz was bringing it. He was bringing it. He closed the gap. He was doing the pity pat thing, and then he started putting leverage in his punches later on in the fight, and he hurt Jake Paul. Later on in the fight, came on a little too late, I think, but I heard my boy K9. That's Cornelius Bundry. Shout out to the champ. Respect to you, champ. He was thinking that that Nate actually won the fight, because he was watching Nate roll the punches and stuff. Nate had decent defense, man. He had decent defense. He was tough too. You know, southpaw, rolling with the shots and stuff. And it was just the pity-pat punches. The pity-pat punches where he was just throwing those, and then he started putting leverage into them. I could tell he was trying to just find the spots, just touch him. He was just touching them, and then he really started putting leverage into it. I'm telling you, if that was a 12-round fight, that fight might have ended differently, because Nate was coming on. He was starting to put the ass whooping on Jake. He was starting to whoop his ass. You know what I mean? He was bringing it. So, I could see why Nate Diaz, he never had a pro fight. That was his first pro fight. So Nate Diaz did all right. He did all right. You know what I mean? And I could see what Andre Ward was talking about when he talked about the Diaz brothers and how tough they are. I get it now. I get it. Because he was a tough competitor, man. Tough competitor. You know what I mean? So, you know, I just wanted to talk about Claressa, because she's one of the faces of boxing. Of course, we also got, you know, Jake Paul. Thanks to Jake Paul, and shout out to Jake Paul for helping boxing. I like your little sideshow. Your sideshow stuff is cool too. You're entertaining as a sideshow fighter. People are talking about Jake Paul becoming a world champion or not becoming a world champion. I'm not going to tell a boxer. I'm not going to tell Jake Paul what he can and can't do. That's not my place. I'm not the Most High God, so I'm not going to tell this man what he can. If he decides he wants to become world champion someday at cruiserweight, it's going to be a steep, tough uphill climb, because them cruiserweights, boy, they don't just punch like you. They really punch. You know, heavyweights punch. But cruiserweights, man, they punch pretty hard, okay? So, you know, ask Roy Jones Jr., who, you know, skill set is crazy. He's like, way beyond your skill set. You know, starting to sharpen and hone your skills. He got knocked out clean. This is not, once you start talking about cruiserweight and you're talking about heavyweight, these guys hit on a totally different, they hit on a totally different plane, Jake. You know what I'm saying? So if you really want to become world champion at cruiserweight or at heavyweight, bro, you have a heavy uphill climb to do. You know, what's the light heavyweight division looking like? Are the BF? Otto Bidabiev and Dimitri Bivol. Okay, so you can't get it at light heavyweight either. And them cruiserweights, man, they can box. I mean, they can really box. You know, what's the kid's name? Hold on, let me get the cruiserweight division there, because I know who they are, but still, let me get it here. No, man. Hold on a second. Yeah. So here are the guys. Lawrence Okolie, bruh. Lawrence Okolie. You also got Badu Jack. Okay, got Badu Jack in that division. I think Badu Jack is he just beat Ilunga Junior Makabu. So he stopped Makabu. He is I think he's supposed to be, he is 39 years of age, but I don't mean shit. Badu fight on the inside. All right, now. You got Lawrence Okolie up in there. Okolie, a bad boy. Bad boy. And then you got, so Badu Jack is, I believe he's the WBC champion right now. Yep. He's the WBC Cruiserweight champion. Okay? You don't want to mess with him. I can't believe you, me. He'd stop you. Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence Okolie is currently he's supposed to be the IBF champion? Is he the IBF champion? Oh, shit. Lawrence Okolie lost to a guy called Chris Billum Smith. What? Oh, he was the WBO Cruiserweight champion. Oh, shit. Chris Billum Smith knocked him down in the 4th, 10th, 11 rounds. Holy shit. I didn't know Lawrence Okolie got his ass whooped. I think he probably stayed at Cruiserweight too long. That's what I feel. Who else we got here? We got a WBC champion. We got a WBO champion. Dorticos. I think Dorticos. Nope, he ain't no champion either. Who are the other champions at Cruiserweight? That's an interesting question. He might be able to snatch a championship. Let me see. Yeah. There's an Australian guy called Jai Opetaya, who is the IBF champion right now at Cruiserweight. And then some guy called Arsene Gulamarian. Hey, you know what? You know what, Jake Paul? You might be able to, I don't know, you might be able to win a world title at Cruiserweight, because some of those cruiserweights are not as tight as you. Of course, you're going to have to get your punching power up some more. And you got to get boxing IQ up. You never know, man. It could happen. Chris Billum Smith is from the UK, and he beat Lawrence Okolie. I can't even believe that. I thought Lawrence Okolie was a guy that couldn't get beaten like that, but I guess, well, it is what it is. So you know what? Jake Paul might be able to. I have to look at the fighters to be able to tell you if he might be able to actually become a cruiserweight champion. You never know. He's learning. His learning curve is quite steep. So we'll see. I don't know. Terence Crawford, face of boxing. I'm gonna talk a little bit about him. I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember what it is I was going to say on Terence Crawford. I was going to say on Terence Crawford. I did mention a bit about Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. No excuses, they said. So it is what it is. Errol Spence is going to be running it back with Terence Crawford. I kind of went through the fight with you guys on Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Terence Crawford, extremely special fighter, like I said before. Not going to be betting against him unless somebody beat him. Errol Spence is a very good fighter as well. Exceptional. But Crawford showed, man, he just showed how classy he is, how he understands boxing in a whole different way to how Errol understands boxing. You know, I thought Errol would have taken his time and handled the situation with Terence, but it turned out Terence took his time, handled the situation. Errol was the one that was actually the one. It's so interesting because Terence seemed to have been emotional before the fight, but he actually was the guy that was more in control and in balance, particularly, and was in control and set up the fight. So Terence Crawford is an exceptional dude. And if something I'm going to say, and I can't remember what it is right now, that made news. Something I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is exactly. With respect to Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing, exceptional boxer. Hopefully he's working on his footwork and consistency. That would make it a very interesting fight with Mel Charlo. Shakur Stevenson is another guy. So, there was some news coming out that we were supposed to talk about. So Devin Haney is negotiating to face Regis Prograis. That's really what's up. That's the next fight on the cards. And Regis was throwing out shots and stuff, but ultimately in the end, they're going to make the fight happen. Haney versus Regis is going to be interesting because it's going to be the first time Haney's at 140. So we're going to see what will really happen. Regis is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. Regis is no joke. Don't let nobody fool you. Regis is no joke. And that fight is going to be an interesting fight. We're going to see what Devin can bring to the table to handle Regis. Regis is sharp. He's fast. He's explosive. Yes, he's somewhat flat-footed sometimes. So that, you don't want him to set necessarily. He's tricky as well. So it'll be interesting because Regis wanted to fight with Terence Crawford at 140. Regis was trying to campaign to get Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford moved up and fought Jeff Horn. So that would have been an interesting fight. And Regis is a guy, he take no prisoners. He's looking to knock you out. He's looking to break you up. He's looking to destroy you. You know what I mean? And Devin Haney's going straight into the fire again. Kudos to Devin Haney. That's a tough-ass fight. I actually think that Regis Prograis is a tougher fight. Maybe I'm wrong, but the tougher fighter than Teofimo Lopez. Southpaw, sharp, fast, dangerous. Stops everybody. So we'll see. I don't know. But Devin Haney is definitely one of the faces in boxing. Terence Crawford. What I like about it is he's become a face of boxing in terms of pound-for-pound status. So this was his breakout fight with Errol Spence. I think I talked about this already, so I don't want to talk about it too much more. So we talked about him, Devin Haney, of course, Gervonta Tank Davis. Devin Haney's talking about going back down to 135 to face Shakur Stevenson. That don't make no sense. I'm just being real. If he beats Regis Prograis, if he beats Regis Prograis, I don't know if he will, but if he beats Regis Prograis, if I was him, I would stay at 140. That's healthier for his body, and on top of that, it is also there's fights there. There's Teofimo Lopez over there. There's Teofimo Lopez. There's Rolly Romero. Hey, yeah, Claressa said she would whoop Rolly Romero's ass. She said she would whoop Rolly Romero's ass. I don't know, man. But yeah, you also got Subriel Mateus, who's a real strong fighter. But if you outbox him, of course, there's nothing he can do. So, there's all those fights that are available and ready for Devin Haney. I'd say stay at 140. Now, at 140, we also got Gary Antoine Russell Jr. Just saying. So if Devin Haney stays at 140, he's going to have to handle Gary Russell Jr., Gary Antoine Russell. So we'll see. I don't know how that would turn out. That's a good-ass fight. If he stays at 140 long enough, that's a good-ass fight. Maybe he wants to be undisputed at 140 as well. Then we got Naoya Inoue. Man, now we hearing talks that Naoya Inoue's actually working his way up to have a Tank fight. So that's insane. So when I thought, Tank versus Naoya Inoue may not be on the cards, it might be. Maybe at super featherweight. Tank come down one. And sometime in the future, Naoya Inoue, maybe he goes up to featherweight, maybe he wins titles there. Jumps up to super featherweight, meets Tank right there, and they have that fight. Who knows? So somewhere in the future, that could be a major fight, a major big fight. Naoya Inoue, they actually reposted the comments that Floyd Mayweather had on Twitter. So they really, Inoue ain't playing out here, man. Inoue want to make himself a global name, and he want to become the cash cow of the world. I don't really see anybody at featherweight or at super bantamweight that could beat Inoue right now. So and super featherweights come wide open. So if you could get the Tank fight at super featherweight, that would be dope. You know what I mean? I didn't know that MJ was beaten by a Filipino dude. So Filipino dude beat MJ, and he's right now the dude with the other two belts, I think. So if Inoue faces that guy by the end of the year, he could be two divisional undisputed. Yeah, Inoue making his name. Y'all gonna know his name. The world gonna know his name soon enough. The boxing community knows about him, but the whole world don't know about him like that because he's been in Japan too long. But man, this ninja the whole world might know this ninja, but before the end of the day. Man, I'm saying, bro. Yeah, so 2023, man. No, Inoue, he ain't playing. We will see. We'll see what's up with that. Those are just great fights. Just thinking about it, faces of boxing. We talked about Canelo. We talked about Claressa. We talked about Terence. We talked about Devin. Shakur a little bit. Shakur, of course, still trying to find those fights because Lomachenko is not interested in facing Shakur for a world title, the WBC world title. It's crazy. Definitely ducking Shakur. I do think that Lomachenko is going to be facing George Kambosos next, but that is definitely a straight up duck. You know what I mean? If Devin relinquishes any other title like the WBO or something, then maybe Lomachenko go the route of fighting Kambosos for that title. You know what I mean? I don't think Devin Haney should come back down to 135. I honestly don't think so. I don't think, you say it's a big money fight, but you got to understand your health is important. And to not be at your best facing an opponent, it's certain caliber opponents you need to be at as close to your best as you can. You know what I mean? So I don't think that makes sense for him. I think he should stay at 140. He kept the big fights at 140 anyway, so stay there. Do that and then go up to welterweight. You know what I mean? With respect to other fights, in boxing. So we just talked about Shakur. Loma looks like you're going to duck Shakur. So whoever else is in line to get that WBC title, Shakur should face those guys. Whoever it is. Let me have a look. I'll tell you exactly who it could be that he's facing next. If Loma don't face him, hold on a second. I'll tell you. All right, hold on. I'm gonna tell you. I will tell you. It's lightweight division, right? Yeah, WBC. Okay. So Lomachenko actually was in line to face Devin Haney in the WBC. He was the #1 contender, and behind him was Shakur Stevenson. So Shakur Stevenson might be fighting for the WBC title either against Isaac Cruz, but Isaac Cruz wants to get that Gervonta Tank Davis fight, or William Zepeda. So it may now these two guys ducked Shakur Stevenson before, but since it's for a world title, I could see them fighting for a world title that way. So the guys who are to face Devin Haney, since Vasily Lomachenko don't want to face, the guys to face Shakur Stevenson, since Vasily Lomachenko don't want to face Shakur Stevenson, would be Isaac Cruz or William Zepeda. All right, those will be the guys. They ducked him before, but I don't know if they will duck him now. You know what I mean? Because George Kambosos is not going to be facing Devin Haney. Trevor Smith said, hold on there, guys. I'm going to get you guys. Man, this thing don't want to. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. All right. What the fuck? What the? Okay. Yeah, so Trevor Smith said, oh, Cam said, is Devin Haney moving to 140? Yeah. Yeah. They're actually in negotiations with right now with Regis Prograis. He's working with Eddie Hearn to get that fight with Regis Prograis. Yeah, so Devin Haney's definitely moving to 140. But he was talking about coming back down to 135. I don't think that makes sense. Maybe if he gets beaten by Regis Prograis, he'd come down to 135. Maybe that's what he's talking about. let me explain to you what. So at 135, Regis Prograis is the WBC champion, and he was actually scheduled to face Sandor Martin. The WBC had made Sandor Martin the mandatory, but because Devin Haney had appealed to face Regis Prograis, they gave him precedence over Sandor Martin because he was a world champion. He's their world champion at 135. So he's a champion in recess at 135. And there's a vacant title. The interim title right now at 135 is vacant. And that's why Shakur Stevenson is the mandatory for Devin Haney. So he gets to fight for the interim title at the point in time, or the WBC title at this point in time. And hold on a second. All right, cool. Speaking of which, did you hear about Callum Smith versus Beterbiev rescheduled for 2024? No, I did not know that. They rescheduled it? Truth be told, man, I find that the WBO is being stupid because what we really should be getting is Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, but the sanctioning bodies are preventing that from happening because of Top Rank, I believe. Bob Arum's Top Rank, again, just really screwing up everything because Bivol been trying to get that fight for the longest while. He's with DAZN, yeah, but I mean, come on, man. Y'all can make something happen. You know, all these big fights happening, this big fight's not happening. I don't understand that. It is what it is. Bob Arum and Top Rank, they always... That's why Terence had to leave Top Rank, man, to get this fight. But they make it sound like Al Heyman was the wrong one. No, Al Heyman wasn't wrong. WBC says, so Regis Prograis is the WBC 140-pound champion. If Devin Haney's not facing Regis Prograis, then it's going to be Sandor Martin that will be facing Regis Prograis. But by far, Devin Haney's a bigger name than Sandor Martin. That's a bigger fight. That's a fight that could go on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? The Zone could put that on pay-per-view because you're talking about two exceptional fighters. Regis Prograis is an exceptional fighter, and Devin Haney is an exceptional fighter. That's a pay-per-view. Y'all need to stack that card, though. The undercard needs to be good. Now, mind you, in the WBC, Sandor Martin would have been the mandatory for Regis Prograis. And right behind Sandor Martin, Gary Antoine Russell. I'm telling you right now, bro. Gary ain't no game player. You know, he's serious. This dude is serious. So I can't wait, you know, for Gary Antoine Russell to face whoever is the winner of Regis Prograis and Devin Haney. Either Devin Haney will face Sandor Martin next, and then if he stays with the WBC, he'll have to face Gary Antoine Russell. Of course, he will want to unify with Teofimo Lopez, the WBO champion. Rolando Romero is not going to face, I'm telling you right now, he's never going to face Devin Haney. He's going to duck and dodge. He won that Ryan Garcia fight, but trust me, he ain't want Devin Haney fight. He don't want that. All right? Because he knows he's going to get his ass beat. So he's never going to be looking for Devin Haney. He's going to say, well, Devin Haney's not a cash draw, blah, 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 blah. He's going to say all that kind of stupid stuff because he's not going to want to get his ass whooped by Devin Haney. Okay, so I don't see Rolando Romero facing Devin Haney anytime soon. If he takes the WBA title, yeah. Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney, that could be the next fight after this Regis Prograis. That's a big fight. That's a pay-per-view fight. Okay, Teofimo Lopez is a pay-per-view fighter. He's had one or two pay-per-views now. So I'd love to see that fight. And I got Devin Haney. With a Regis Prograis, because Regis Prograis is a full-fledged 140-pounder. In fact, he should be at 147 on now. Regis Prograis can punch. I mean, Teofimo Lopez ain't showing that he could punch at 140. Prograis can punch at 140. Prograis dangerous at 140. Okay? Prograis versus Teofimo Lopez, I got Prograis. I know y'all will say, but Lopez, I'll box him and you see the skills and Lopez got a lot of skills and ability. But Prograis, man, he a bad man. He's a bad man. That's why I'm saying Devin Haney got balls to be stepping up to the plate against Regis Prograis and treating him like if it's his son or something. He's sonning him. I'm telling you, man, Regis is not that dude. Regis is not that dude, Devin. All right, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. He's daring to be, you know, he's wanting to be great. He's facing great fighters. So we'll see how that goes. But yo. All right, we ain't heard anything about Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall suddenly disappeared into infinitum, and he still hasn't gotten his chance at the title, and I think that's just wrong. Jack Catterall is another guy out there that should get his just due. Sandor Martin getting his just due. You know, he had a good performance against Teofimo Lopez, so he's lined up for the WBC to get the winner of Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney. So that's a good fight right there. I'm not gonna lie. Sandor Martin could box a little bit and stuff. So we would see. He makes any fighter look bad. So we will see. But with respect to Gary Antoine Russell, who's now in the top 5 in the WBC. In fact, he's at position number 2. He's the number 2 contender. That's great stuff right there. You know what I'm saying? Also, you got Jose Carlos Ramirez. Jose Carlos Ramirez was supposed to fight, who was it? For the vacant WBA title, I think it was. Jose Carlos Ramirez was supposed to face some dude. I think it's the same dude that faced Rolly Romero. And for whatever reason, Jose Carlos Ramirez pulled out, so Rolly Romero ended up facing the dude. O'Hara Davies is actually in line to face Rolando Romero, but I think Rolando Romero has a voluntary, so I think he's trying to get Ryan Garcia. He's trying to face Ryan Garcia. Subriel Mateus, who is the IBF champion at 140, he may face Jose Carlos Ramirez next. We'll have to see. You know, after Jose Zepeda got beat by Regis Prograis, and Zepeda's a hell of a fighter, you know, he's kind of moved down the rankings, but really, you got to watch out for Jose Zepeda at 140 as well. You know what I mean? Ryan Garcia's in there. Arnold Barboza hasn't gotten his shot at the title. Teofimo Lopez, he's actually in lineup. He's the mandatory for Teofimo Lopez. So, Lopez did not face Barboza before. Barboza actually was supposed to face Jose Carlos Ramirez, but because Teofimo Lopez came back out of retirement, he's there. But since Devin Haney's not facing Teofimo Lopez right now, he's going to have to face either Arnold Barboza or Jose Carlos Ramirez. So one of those guys, Teofimo Lopez is going to have to face next if he's staying out of retirement. So we're going to see. Them is full-fledged 140-pounders. So if Teofimo Lopez can perform against them, that would be good for him. You know what I mean? You know, that's what's going on with Devin Haney. What goes on with Shakur Stevenson? Like I said before, Shakur Stevenson, he may be facing William Zepeda at 135, or he may be facing Isaac Cruz. Them is the two guys that he could face. He already faced Shuichiro Hoshino. He already faced him. The other guy he was calling out, and rightfully so, was George Kambosos. But you also have Jermaine Ortiz there. And Jermaine Ortiz should, you know, if he can get a shot at the world title, why not? So it might end up being this. It might end up that Shakur Stevenson faces Jermaine Ortiz for the WBC vacant WBC title, because Isaac Cruz, he looking for Tank. William Zepeda already told him no and ducked him. So William Zepeda might duck him again, which means Jermaine Ortiz might end up being the guy, because George Kambosos ain't facing him. Shohiro Yoshino already faced him. So it might be Jermaine Ortiz that might face him. And the fact that Jermaine Ortiz also faced Lomachenko, that'd be a good fight. Jermaine Ortiz versus Shakur Stevenson would be a good fight. That's how the rankings are at lightweight when it comes to that. With respect to, so I talked about several faces of boxing. We talked about Canelo. We talked about Tyson Fury. We talked about Alexander Usyk. We talked about Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder might be facing Anthony Joshua at the end of this year. This is if Anthony Joshua prevails over Robert Helenius. That could be a good matchup. I'm not going to lie to you. Demetrius Andrade, there are rumors, this is just rumors, that Demetrius Andrade might face, what's his name? David Benavidez. Now, I'm going to say this off the bat. Demetrius Andrade has the style to beat David Benavidez. Just turn him. Just turn him. Keep turning him. And you'll beat him. It's that simple. Turn him. Step around him, beat him. You beat him. So Demetrius Andrade has the style to certainly beat David Benavidez. Demetrius Andrade's footwork is phenomenal, and it's quicker and everything. So Andrade versus David Benavidez would be a tremendous fight. It would be an exciting fight. But ultimately, in the end, I expect Demetrius Andrade to beat David Benavidez. Hands down. No if, buts, or maybe. But they've been isolating out Demetrius Andrade. The fact that David Benavidez did not make the fight with David Morrell, you know, Cuban School of Boxing, power and everything. He wants Andrade, but maybe the fight with Andrade is worse than Morrell. Andrade, the fight gonna be so lopsided. I feel sorry for David Benavidez because your feet are too slow, bro. You got too slow feet, and your feet, you try to plant for everything. So you gon', I mean, I don't care how good your jab is, you got to keep up with these guys. And yeah, I mean, Canelo will beat your ass. No disrespect to David Benavidez. I love the guy. I love his attitude. I love his desire to want to be great, want to challenge himself, which is awesome. But, bro, you got to work on your footwork. You got to get light on your feet, you know. Because Andrade would just, I mean, he'll have a field day with you. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. There's a reason they avoid Andrade. All right. Then they say, oh, Andre ain't faced nobody. I heard our show business adults say he ain't faced nobody. Oh, yeah, they ain't give him a shot. Nobody want to give him a shot. He comes up in there, he talks, and nobody want to give him a shot. He boogeyman. You know, same thing happening with Shakur. Shakur's trying to get these fights, and nobody want to face him. He's too good. He's too good. It's the price you pay for being too good. So anyway, but they saying, you know, his promoter probably, they're looking at a fight with Demetrius Andre. That's what the rumor is. I don't know how true that is. You know, if I was David Benavidez, I'd take that fight, no doubt about it. But I gotta be super rough in that fight. I gotta try and rough up. I would try and rough this dude up. I would do everything dirty. I would be as dirty as I can be to get this guy out of this game. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose that fight. So that's good news. That's one of the rumors out there. You guys can throw out anything else you want to throw. Now, when you ask about the present versus the past, there's a lot of information I have to give you guys. So like when you ask a question about today's heavyweights, if they're better than yesterday's or whatever, there's so many different factors that are involved in that you know, it's a tremendous question. It's a tremendous question. And you know, if you're talking about the best heavyweights of today, you know, how they match up with the best heavyweights of yesteryear, I would tell you that, you know, guys like Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, guys like even Deontay Wilder, they'd have their place because, again, you know, it's just in any era they would probably rise to the top because of just what they bring to the table. Deontay Wilder is extremely athletic, not the best boxer in the world, but he's extremely athletic. Tyson Fury, you know, well-schooled boxer, not the most athletic, but he's quick, he's sharp, you know, to some degree for such a big guy like that. You know, when you talk about Alexander Usyk, well-schooled, his footwork is incredible, his movement, his pivot work, you know. So, you know, you have to, and he understands angles very well and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, these guys would do well in almost any era, you know what I mean? So you have to look at them. The thing that kind of irks me a little bit is that they don't pit themselves against each other. They don't mix it up enough, you know? It is what it is, though. So, yeah, we had a nice little discussion. Coming on 2 hours. I don't want to take too much more time than 2 hours. We really chopped it up. So you guys can look forward to this in this channel. So I'm going to put out some shorts. And the shorts kind of cover some of the stuff that we say here. So whatever I put out on a stream, I'll put out a short. Maybe it'll be a clip from an actual fight or whatever. And just showing you certain little beautiful things I've observed in fights. You know, again, when you're observing it from the outside, it's totally different to doing it in the ring and executing it in the ring. And just the way how it looks in the ring is totally different to how you see it from outside. So you have to always keep these things in perspective. Because a lot of times we say, oh, all he had to do was pop the jab. That's easy for you to say. He got to see where the openings were, first of all, to pop that jab. Then he has to be able to time it properly. You know, he got to be in the right positioning. He got to make sure he's keep his defense tight. So when he popped the jab, he has enough defense so that, you know, he can protect himself. There's a lot of things that go on. And what I'm just talking to you, you remember, you just have to do that off of muscle memory. You have to do that naturally. You know, you can't be like how I'm saying it here, like speaking it out and doing it in steps and phases. No, it got to be fluent. So if your timing's off, you won't be able to execute that. You understand? It's a timing thing. It's kind of like dancing. You know, dancing, you have to know how to dance. You can't just get up there, somebody tell you how to dance, and then you just do it. Unless you've been dancing all along, that's different. But if the first time you do it, you ain't gonna know what to do. It's like riding a bike, you know? Oh, you just have to balance yourself and balance on the seat and stuff. Yeah, somebody could tell you that, but until you do it, you realize how difficult it could be. But as soon as you start to really get it going, get it popping and get your balance, it becomes secondary, right? So something like that. So anyway, that's what I got for now. There's other news out there, several other fights that are going on. several other people. Alicia Baumgartner, for example, wanted to face Amanda Serrano for undisputed. She really wanted that fight. You could tell. Amanda Serrano's hell of a fighter. Recently, dominant performance against Heather Hardy. She didn't get her out of there. Did she drop her? I think she dropped her once, but she couldn't get her out of there. And Serrano is up in age as well, and she's been doing everything, right? She in MMA, she grounding and pounding, and she is punching the shit out of people, right? So, Clarissa's doing the same. So, we got also Celicia Estrada. Again, I thought that was a tough ass fight she had with that girl. The girl, the other woman, sorry, she could really handle the stories, man. She knew how to box. But Celicia Estrada, super bad. She still came out on top. So good for her. Yeah, I find the fights are much more competitive this year, except for Stephen Fulton, who I picked to win over Nolan Louis, and I didn't pick Errol Spence to beat Terence Crawford, but I thought it was going to be much more competitive than that. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Boxing does throw surprising things at you, and that's the way how it goes. That's what makes boxing beautiful. So my prediction for Canelo versus Charlo, I said I favor Charlo to win. Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade, I favor Demetrius Andrade to win. But you never know. It's boxing. You never know what could happen, right? So we'll see. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm what you need. I enjoyed this time with you guys, the questions you asked. Feel free to ask more questions. God be with you. My brother, I'm a Christian at heart, even though sometimes I curse and swear and stuff like that. And so I lose my cool and thing. I'm trying to walk in the way of Christ. But at the same time, I love boxing, man. I love what it stands for. I love guys who carry about themselves properly, like Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. I really admire them. I had Floyd Mayweather's name in there. All right, so let me just say a piece on Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, as you know, everybody always compares themselves to Floyd Mayweather. The reason that this happens is because of the mystique of Floyd Mayweather, which is that he was undefeated. So because he was undefeated, ladies and gentlemen, because Floyd Mayweather was undefeated, everybody's always thinking, well, this guy could beat him, and that guy could beat him. And this is going to continue on and on and on and on because he was undefeated. Yeah? So, and because he was prominent, he sold that undefeated record. So it's always going to be, oh, this person could beat Floyd. Oh, that's the mystique of Floyd Mayweather, which is what makes him constantly pop back up. And everybody's always comparing to him or comparing themselves with him and say, this guy could beat him and that guy could beat him and that guy can beat him because he never been beat. Got it? So that's a little trick that he did. It's great for marketing. Great for marketing. His brand will always stay around because he never been defeated. It's just what it is. So that's why you hear people talk about it a lot. And they talk about it 50-0 and all of that. He was a hell of a fighter, a hell of a boxer. But it's also because he wasn't defeated and people wanted to see him defeat. He played he was seen as a heel somewhat. So people always wanted to see him get defeated. So that's another reason why it just works. I'm going to get you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.